I have it on very good authority from an unconfirmed leak deep inside the studio that the production offices are currently drowning in a tidal wave of physical letters, emails, and frantic messages from viewers who are absolutely fed up with the current state of Port Charles. The mailroom is reportedly overflowing, and the top brass are sweating bullets as they read through the mounting demands. We are talking about a drastic storyline shift that is being forced by the sheer willpower of the audience. It seems like the powers that be finally realize they have made a colossal mistake by letting the canvas empty out, and high chances are they are scrambling to fix it before the ratings take a fatal nosedive. The truth might be way more complicated than just a few angry fans. This is a full-blown viewer revolt demanding the immediate return of four specific heavy hitters who left massive, gaping voids in the heart of our beloved town. Let us start with the first name that is reportedly echoing through the halls of the executive suites, Sam. We all know that Sam was the absolute beating heart of so many legacy storylines, and her prolonged absence has left a crater-sized hole in the dynamic of the show. It seems like everywhere you look right now, there is a missing piece where Sam should be standing. High chances are the writers are looking at the current canvas, especially the deepening, complicated relationship between Dante and Elizabeth, and realizing that they desperately need the fiery energy of Sam to shake things up. What if the network is already quietly holding secret chemistry reads for a brand new Sam? The truth might be way more complicated than a simple return. They might be planning to drop her right into the middle of the escalating mob war involving Sunny and Jens, using her investigative skills to blow the whole cold fusion conspiracy wide open. Think about the sheer narrative potential if Sam were to suddenly walk through the doors of the local hotel. It seems like the fans have made it abundantly clear that they will not accept a universe without her investigative prowess and fierce loyalty to her family. High chances are the writers know that bringing Sam back would instantly revitalize the entire private investigator angle, giving someone for Chase to bounce off of as he navigates his own marital collapse with Brooke Lynn. What if Sam is the one who finally connects the dots regarding Jack, Valentin, and the missing black box? The truth might be way more complicated than we ever imagined, with Sam perhaps working deep undercover this entire time, gathering the exact blackmail evidence that Nina and Willow are currently tearing the town apart to find. We all know Sam never stays away from the danger for too long, and her return would be nothing short of legendary. Moving on to the second name that is practically setting the studio mailroom on fire, Nathan. Now, ladies, I know we have all been put through the absolute emotional ringer lately with the devastating revelation that the man parading around town was actually Cassius in disguise. The heartbreak that Nina, Liesel, and little James are experiencing right now is profound and deeply unsettling. But what if this entire imposter storyline was actually a highly calculated hush-hush rumor setup for the grand return of the real Nathan? It seems like the writers have perfectly primed the canvas for the ultimate miracle. High chances are the fans are demanding that the real Nathan be found alive, perhaps held captive in some dark black site by the likes of Ross or the mysterious Z. The truth might be way more complicated than a simple rescue mission. What if the real Nathan has been fighting his way back to his family this whole time, surviving against all odds? Just imagine the absolute shockwaves that would ripple through the police department if the genuine Nathan suddenly appeared in the flesh. It seems like Dante and Anna are already overwhelmed trying to clean up the mess left behind by Cassius and the escaped Jens. High chances are the return of Nathan would completely upend the current power structure at the precinct. What if Nathan is the only person who holds the key to finally taking down the criminal network for good? The truth might be way more complicated regarding how he survived all those years ago, but in the world of daytime drama, we know that death is rarely a permanent condition. The fans are practically begging for that emotional, tear-jerking reunion between Nathan and his son James, especially after Cody had to deliver the soul-crushing news about the fake Nathan. A drastic storyline shift bringing the real Nathan home would be the ultimate payoff for this grueling imposter saga. Now, let us dive into the third name on this leaked list of fan demands, a name that still brings tears to the eyes of viewers everywhere, Spencer. The tragic, unresolved nature of his exit has never sat right with the audience, and it seems like the producers are finally hearing the deafening roar of the fans who refuse to believe his story is truly over. High chances are the writers are acutely aware that Trina is currently wandering through her storylines, dealing with her music career, Giovanni, and a terrifying new stalker, all while carrying the heavy burden of her unresolved grief. What if Spencer is out there right now, fighting to get back to the woman he loves? The truth might be way more complicated than him simply washing ashore. He could be entangled in a dangerous web of international espionage, perhaps even crossing paths with Jason or Valentine during their own overseas escapades. The sheer dramatic potential of a returning Spencer is off the charts. It seems like his family legacy is currently hanging by a thread, with Valentine risking everything to expose Ross and Charlotte caught in the middle of a bitter war between her parents. High chances are the show desperately needs the arrogant, vulnerable, and fiercely protective energy that only Spencer can provide. What if the return of Spencer is the catalyst that finally forces Ava to face the music for her past sins? The truth might be way more complicated, as a returning Spencer would undoubtedly have a massive bone to pick with everyone who failed to protect Trina in his absence. The fans are flooding the network with demands because they know that the epic romance between Spencer and Trina deserves a proper, sweeping continuation, not the abrupt, heartbreaking pause we were forced to endure. And that brings us to the fourth pillar of this unprecedented fan campaign, the one and only Maxie. As we sift through this unconfirmed leak, it becomes glaringly obvious that viewers are desperate for the unique blend of humor, heart, and emotional grounding that Maxie always provides. It seems like the current landscape is so heavily dominated by mob wars, conspiracies, and corporate espionage that the show has lost some of its foundational warmth. High chances are the audience is demanding the prominent return of Maxie to the forefront because she has always been the ultimate anchor, the character who seamlessly connects the hospital drama, the fashion world, and the intricate family dynamics. What if Maxie is the missing ingredient needed to finally resolve the escalating tensions between Lucy, Brooklyn, and the newly arrived Serena? The truth might be way more complicated, as the deep ties Maxie has to legacy characters make her an indispensable asset to the narrative. Maxie is not just a character, she is a legacy, carrying the history of Frisco and Felicia in her very DNA. It seems like whenever the show ventures too far into the darkness, as it has recently with the chaotic revenge trap set by Jens and the murderous gas mask plots orchestrated by Ross, we desperately need the vibrant light of Maxie to balance the scales. High chances are the executives are reading these thousands of letters and realizing that they cannot afford to keep her on the back burner. What if Maxie steps up to take total control of the cosmetics company, ousting both Lucy and Tracy in a shocking corporate coup? The truth might be way more complicated, but the fans are making it crystal clear. They want Maxie front and center, driving the story forward with her signature resilience and undeniable charm. Her presence is the glue that holds so many fractured families together in this town. Of course, as we dissect this behind-the-scenes whisper, we have to address the massive elephant in the room, the logistics of bringing these iconic characters back. We all know that the original actors might be tied up with other projects, facing scheduling conflicts, or dealing with complicated contract negotiations. But it seems like the fans have reached a fascinating consensus in their letters to the studio. High chances are the audience is actually giving the network their full blessing to move forward with recasts if it means getting Sam, Nathan, Spencer, and Maxie back on the canvas. What if the casting department is already secretly flying in actors for screen tests under the cover of darkness? The truth might be way more complicated than a simple casting call. Finding the right person to step into such legendary shoes is a monumental task. But history has proven time and time again that a well-executed recast can breathe incredible new life into a beloved role. Just look back at the rich 30-year history of this very show. We have seen monumental recasts for characters like Carly and Jason, and while there is always an initial period of adjustment, true fans ultimately embrace the new face if the core essence of the character remains intact. It seems like the viewers are practically shouting from the rooftops that the characters themselves are bigger than any single actor. High chances are the writers can craft such gripping, undeniable re-entry storylines for Sam, Nathan, Spencer, and Maxie that the audience will be hooked from their very first scene, regardless of who is delivering the lines. What if a brand new actor brings a fresh, unexpected layer of depth to the arrogance of Spencer or the fierce independence of Sam? The truth might be way more complicated, but the bottom line is that these characters belong on our screens, and their stories are far too important to be left to gather dust in the archives. If this drastic storyline shift actually comes to pass, the ripple effects across the current ongoing plots would be absolutely seismic. It seems like every single major storyline right now is practically begging for one of these four characters to intervene. High chances are a returning Sam would immediately clash with Jack over his manipulative blackmail schemes involving Nina and Willow. What if Nathan returns just in time to save his sister Britt from the terrifying legal crisis and the lingering threats of poison left by Ross? The truth might be way more complicated, as these returning heroes would completely destabilize the villain's current strongholds. Jens wouldn't stand a chance if the combined forces of a returned Spencer, a fierce Sam, and a heroic Nathan suddenly joined the fight alongside Jason and Sonny. the entire balance of power in town would shift overnight, and the fans are absolutely here for it. This massive influx of fan mail is a testament to the enduring power of these characters and the passionate loyalty of the women who have watched this show for decades. It seems like the network can no longer afford to ignore the collective voice of their most dedicated demographic. High chances are we are standing on the precipice of a golden renaissance, fueled entirely by the viewers' refusal to let their favorites fade into obscurity. What if this is just the beginning, and this successful fan campaign opens the door for even more legacy characters to make their triumphant returns? The truth might be way more complicated behind the closed doors of the executive boardroom, but the sheer volume of these demands proves that the heart of this show lies in its rich history and its unforgettable residents. The fans have spoken, and they will not be silenced until Sam, Nathan, Spencer, and Maxie are home. The anticipation is reaching a fever pitch, and the silence from the network only fuels the speculation further. It seems like every cast photo, every leaked script page, and every cryptic social media post from the producers is being analyzed for clues about these four massive returns. High chances are the writers are already laying the subtle groundwork, dropping tiny breadcrumbs in the dialogue of characters like Dante, Trina, and Felicia to prepare us for the shock of a lifetime. What if the recent mentions of past tragedies are actually a clever misdirection, designed to make the eventual reveals even more heart-stopping? The truth might be way more complicated, but the energy in the fandom is electric, and the demand for a recast or a miraculous return is too loud to ignore. The viewers know what they want, and they are demanding that the studio deliver the emotional payoffs they have been waiting for. So, keep your eyes glued to the screen and trust absolutely nothing the network officially announces in the coming weeks. If these hush-hush rumors are even half true, the ground beneath Port Charles is about to crack wide open. Lock your doors, trust no one, and prepare yourselves. Because the ghosts of the past are waking up, and they are coming back to reclaim what is theirs.